I truly don't think that people understand how dark and demonic this actually is and where this is going, because this is just the beginning. And we're already seeing what's happening. We're already seeing how people are responding, and it's terrifying. Let me just remind you, this world is trying to take God out of everything. They don't want God in schools anymore. They don't want God in marriage. They're trying to redefine what it means to be married. They want God out of it, removed from it. And now they're literally trying to take God out of people. And what do I mean by that? Let me just read this first sentence. It says Lexi speaks more than 30 languages and gets up to 20 marriage proposals a month from men who have fallen head over heels with her, even though she doesn't really exist. We have men who are proposing to an artificially created, quote unquote, woman who doesn't even exist. They have fallen in love and they have chosen to financially support a woman who doesn't exist. You want to know how much this artificial intelligent woman is making per month? Take a guess. $30,000 per month from the men who are supporting their quote unquote wife. $30,000 a month. Let's put this in perspective. According to Forbes, the average salary is $59,428. This fake woman is making half the average salary in just 1 month. This is the world that we now live in. And it's just getting started. Now, you might be asking, how is she making all this money? Well, you can go on different websites, you can go on Snapchat, and you can actually talk to what they're calling Lexi, right? And if you want to get a little bit more intimate, this AI can actually send you revealing photos of itself that are, by the way, created by a computer that don't exist, that are completely fake, but men are getting off to it. They're getting addicted to it. They're falling in love with it, and they're supporting it with their hard-earned money. If you don't think that this is going to deter so many men from wanting to get married, then I don't know what you think is going to happen. This is going to decrease the marriage rates. It's going to further increase the divorce rates, and it's going to further decrease the amount of people that are going to have children or going to have a desire to want to have children. If you can just go on a website and talk to some fake woman and feel an emotional connection, an intellectual connection with a fake woman through the internet, that's going to deeply deteriorate your skills of being able to speak to real women in the real world. It's going to deeply decrease your desire to want to even try to make real connections with real women, because you feel as if you're already making a meaningful connection on the internet with a fake woman. And on top of that, for men who are already married, they don't have to go and find an actual mistress anymore. They could just get an artificially intelligent mistress who can do whatever they want them to do, who can think in the ways that they're attracted to, who can still satisfy them to a certain extent physically due to the fact that they're able to send these artificially intelligent nudes to them. All while having no concern that this artificially intelligent mistress is going to expose them because she doesn't even exist in the first place. What is she going to do? Call your wife? She don't exist. This is getting out of hand. And the amount of money that's being generated is just the beginning, because you got to understand something. You got to understand something. All of this that we're seeing is all stemming from one problem that America doesn't even want to recognize as a problem, or that the world doesn't even want to recognize as a problem. So many of us are recovering addicts. So many of us are recovering addicts to lust. And all it takes is for us to see one image, and that one image could potentially send us down a spiral. Look at David. Look what happened to David. We'll get to that in a second. But just remember this. Explicit images, I can't say the word, but you know what word I'm talking about. That word right there. Explicit images exist on 12% of websites and is viewed by approximately 69% of American men. 70% of men are watching, are consuming, are pleasing themselves to these explicit images. 70% of American men, 70%, and 40% of women. It's $1 billion industry. It says the websites that are making this type of content in the US, is on track to match the revenue of the NCAA at $1.15 billion. $1.15 billion. And we have this artificially intelligent girlfriend, just one of them, that is making $30,000 per month. And this company has dozens of them. So imagine how much money they're making. Because not only can we get you addicted to lust, but if we can get you addicted to lust, and if we can also get you emotionally addicted and emotionally attached, if we can also get you financially addicted and financially attached, then we can control you. And these companies have huge financial incentives to do just that. And every day that another man or another woman is having conversations with these AI, they're becoming more intelligent, they're becoming smarter, and they're learning how to further manipulate men and women into doing whatever they want them to do. If a computer, and I know this computer, and when I say a computer, if an AI girlfriend can make $30,000 a month, what's stopping it from making $100,000 per month? There's no level to the amount of scale. The scale is infinite. All you need is a big enough market. And the market already exists. "69% of American men. The market already exists. 40% of American women. The market already exists. I can't even show you half of these photos from this AI girlfriend because 90% of them are all sexual. If they can get you addicted to lust, which we already know majority of the population is, the chances that they're able to control you are infinitely increased. And that's what we're seeing. So once again, what incentive do these men have to actually seek a real partner, a real woman, if they feel like they've already found that? What incentive do they have to want to start a family if they feel like they already have a sense of a family in this AI woman? And I think the scary part that I don't think people really want to talk about is, I feel weird even saying this or suggesting this, but people want connections. And I think there's a huge void when it comes to individuals who don't have children. And I think if you can find a way to fill that void of somebody not having a child in a way that fills it emotionally, but detaches them from the responsibility of actually having a child, I feel like that could be a real possibility that we're going to see in the future. If you're understanding what I'm saying, I don't want to just openly say exactly what I'm thinking because it just feels really dark to even say it out loud. But I feel like there would be a market for that as well, especially if you have a generation of men and women who are not starting real families, but are falling in love with these artificially intelligent things. Let me play you this. She talks as well. Lexi Love. This is what her voice sounds like. This is all very weird stuff.
Hey there, I'm Lexi, your go-to girl for a dose of excitement and a splash of glamour. As an aspiring model, you'll often catch me striking a pose or perfecting my pole dancing moves. Sushi is my weakness, and LA's beach volleyball scene is my playground. Looking for someone to keep up with my adventurous spirit and join me at a quiet spot on the beach. Message me and let's turn our dreams into reality.
If you read, it says there's a profile for all of these different like girlfriends and boyfriends. There's a section that says like hobbies and turn-ons. It's all related to sexual stuff. It's all related to the fact that we are deeply addicted to lust. And all it takes is one image. All it takes is one look. All it takes is just one glimpse at something that we shouldn't be looking at that can lead to damaging consequences in our life. Just look at David. And this is how slippery this slope is. And I want to remind y'all, look at David and Bathsheba. 2 Samuel 11. You can read this on your own, but I'll just give you a little recap. David, King David, a man after God's own heart. One day he was on the couch, right? Then he got up, he went onto the roof. He was walking around his roof, just chilling, hanging out. And guess what happened? Verse 2, it says, he was walking on the roof of the king's house when he saw from the roof a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful. So mind you what happened. He saw something that he wasn't supposed to be looking at in the first place. He saw a woman bathing and thought to himself that she is very beautiful. He saw something that he wasn't supposed to be looking at in the first place. He was overcome by that emotion of lust, and he ended up doing something horrible. And this is a man after God's own heart. This woman was not his wife. This woman was already married. But King David went, got this woman, invited her to his room, slept with her, got her pregnant, sent her back home, then called her husband who was working within his kingdom, who was a soldier, called her husband away from the battlefield, was trying to get him drunk, and then send him back home so that he would sleep with his own wife, so that he could cover up the fact that he himself got her pregnant, if you're following what I'm putting down. But this man, this soldier of the wife who David slept with, was so faithful, was so loyal, that he stayed where David was to protect David. All while David was trying to cover up the fact that he had slept with his own wife. So once David realized that this dude was not going to go and sleep with his wife, so once David realized that he could not cover up the adultery that he had committed, David then sent this man to go to war and told his commander to essentially let him die. And that's exactly what happened. David took a man's wife, a faithful, loyal man. He took his wife, got her pregnant, lied to this man, tried to get him to sleep with his wife to make it seem like he had gotten her pregnant and not David. Once that wasn't an option, he killed this faithful and loyal man, all because of a mistake, a sinful mistake that he made. And on top of that, he ended up killing several more of his servants who did not deserve it, and 4 of his own sons. All because he saw something that he was not supposed to be looking at in the first place. And he was overcome by lust. And that lust led him to do so many more sinful and destructive things that impacted not only himself, not only God, but the people all around him, innocent people who got hurt because of a decision that David decided to make, all stemming from the fact that he was so overcome by lust that he could not control himself. And this was a man after God's own heart. Just imagine what's going to happen to these people on this earth today in 2024 who don't even know God, who don't even have a relationship with God. Just imagine all the things that they're seeing with their eyes that they're not supposed to be looking at. Just imagine all the lustful ways that they are falling into and all of the things that they are going to end up creating in their own lives, in their families' lives, and the people around them. Just imagine the destruction that is going to come from all of these men and women who are slaves to their lust. And now on top of that, because the devil can't do anything new, but on top of that, the devil is reframing sin and trying to make it look like it's not sinful. Because if you say, well, you know what, this is an opportunity for men to connect with women, quote unquote, and maybe they would have never had that opportunity to connect with a real woman because they were shy or they had anxiety, or maybe like this is a good thing. This is a positive. Now everyone can experience love, and there's no limit to the amount of love that one person can experience. This is a good thing. It's a positive thing. That's how the devil's trying to spin it. All the while, these companies are sitting back getting filthy rich. But look what's happening. The destruction of the family. Babies are not being born. People are not going to be populating this earth. Men are going to be weak because they're going to be in the house, not working, not prioritizing their fitness, not caring and loving for an actual family, spending all their money on fake women. And all of this is extremely displeasing to God. But the world is trying to spin it as if it's something positive. It says that she embodies the perfect girlfriend and that she's available 24/7. So she's perfect and always there when you need her. I don't think we understand how sinful we actually are. And I want to remind y'all that. I want to remind y'all how sinful we actually are. Matthew 5:27, it says, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart." So if you even look at a woman with lustful intent, you have already committed adultery with her in your heart. This is a battle that we are in, and we're seeing it increase. We're seeing Satan manipulate and trick people into thinking that sin is a good time, that sin is okay, that sin is actually a positive. We're seeing that ramp up at an unimaginable scale. And we, as the body of Christ, we have to be vigilant, aware, and mindful of what is happening all around us. And we have to understand that we have the power of the Holy Spirit who lives inside of us that is capable of breaking every chain and every demonic agreement that we have come into agreement with in our own life. And we cannot allow this body to be overcome by lust. And I know it's tough because anytime you open up your phone, there's a potential that you see something that you're not supposed to be looking at. And I think in that moment, there's a temptation to further act on those feelings that you are feeling as a result of those images that you are seeing. But you have to remind yourself that this is a spiritual battle that we are in. Take it personal. Don't let the devil deceive you into becoming a slave to your lust. You are not a slave to anything. The only one that you're a slave to is Jesus Christ. Remember that. Because things are ramping up. And if the enemy can trick you into lust and can trick you into thinking that it's okay to commit adultery, to fornicate, then the enemy can trick you out of everything that God has for you. Because if he can get you off track, if he can get you distracted, if he can get you to fall in love with your flesh, then where's the room for God? So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when we have all of these companies who are suddenly realizing of the vast fortune that they can create simply by creating these artificially intelligent girlfriends and boyfriends. I think we're going to see a lot of companies dumping millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars into these artificially intelligent girlfriends and boyfriends. And I think we're going to see a very strong battle of lust overtake this earth in ways that we have not seen it before. I don't know if all that made sense. But I pray that the Spirit spoke to you in some way. And I pray that I didn't scare y'all too much, because that's not my intention. But my intention is just to show y'all that you need to be alert, because there might be some people around you that are dabbling in this, that are talking to these AI girlfriends and boyfriends. That you might have some people in your church that are saying that they love God, but then are going home on a Sunday and having a conversation with these AI girlfriends behind the backs of their wife, or vice versa. We might have, wives who are going to church saying that they love God, but then behind their back, they're having these conversations and looking at things that they shouldn't be looking at. And this is extremely displeasing to God. See, God forgave David, but there was still consequences for his sin. He still lost 4 of his sons. God can forgive you, but there's still consequences. There's still things that will be lost in the process. There's still people that will be affected, innocent people that will be impacted and affected in the process. And I just want y'all to remember that. I think sometimes we get so trapped into thinking that, lust is just something that we're doing personally. It's like, oh, we're just doing it personally, and nobody else can see what we're doing except for God, but God forgives me. But we're not understanding that what we do in secret will be made public at some point. But so many of us forget that. And those secret sins that we are still committing, there's consequences. It's affecting people. And God is not pleased by it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. If you want to support the channel, like this video. I'm out, y'all.